Thank you, Rolf. Being current with the last intervention, I have the privilege to speak twice. I'm starting by Gaza, by the genocide. Some governments from CELAC and the Caribbean are not agreeing with to call this genocide, but most of us that we are here, we've voted when we have been able to in favor of peace, of a solution and a peace of ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, and the possibility of both states. Our voice haven't been listened. There is a mock of our voice, and I believe that this session must to express about that. We want to speak with other governments surrounding us about a unified action surrounding this barbaric behavior that we're watching, barbaric, that it could be turned global. The subject of Gaza get us into the international laws, to the civilization, about the possibility of this civilization continues in this earth, this civilization gets deeper. What is here in the United Nations is a struggle between what is acknowledged in the world. It is due to the vote of the human diversity or about the negation. The vote is getting into the humankind. The vet remits to the airplanes. The power of the world is about how many planes that we have, or if the power of the world is about the humankind. That is what is getting here today. The subject of Gaza is getting that into the table. So Latin America needs to get that. So it's absurd and just irrational. It only stands the barbaric behaviors as a solution to the issue of the crisis. So we're building a bubble in the north where the big chimneys are being provoked. The richness of the north is oil emission. The wealthy is measured in carbon emissions. So the solution of this, it consists in to build bubbles and consider to the most of a humankind that is not the one to blame of these emissions as disposable. That this is the barbaric behavior. Second of all, I think following the statement in the last intervention, then the summit about drug issues need to be a reality. We proposed that in Bogota. We proposed to the Mexican president to fulfill a summit from Latin America and the Caribbean. We are all victims. There's repression that we're not controlling. They're empowered of gangs and new violence roles that are not political. They're moved by greed, and the greed is being established by a high income of those substances that has origin the United States production, because that provoked the million of death that we're talking already. But we need to get a summit to replanteate the politics, to see the side effects, to install new methods where the humankind won't kill themselves through those substances, as is happening with the fentanyl. There is a country here, not only a region, but a whole nation that is being victim of this failed politics of the drugs. It's called Haiti, from the Antilles. Haiti has all a symbol of our history. The Haitian Revolution was bigger, broader, and deeper than the French Revolution. It's a paradox that Haiti financed and armed themselves all the Latin American revolution to build our current republics. The General Petro asked for a request to release the slaves from our countries, and our Republican leaders won't fulfill that request. To get free the humankind in Latin America in the 19th century has to spend a lot. Haiti had 2,000,000,000 battles. The battles of Haiti opened the freedom in America. It was the black people that raised first the freedom flag, the ones who did the French Revolution, while all landowners in those times were to Haiti to cut the head off those, to get revenge, because they repeated their own words: liberty, equality, and fraternity, and they put amendments that were paid until 1875 because they considered that the black folk were property of the French. That's the same that the French say. That's why Haiti today is in poverty. It's poor because it was the people that raised the flag of freedom as the European, being black and getting the independence from them. When the current politics to defend of the Haitian population invaded, led it to in hand of armed gangs, creating the war against the drugs in the United States, or we're building our own politics in the CELAC. If our organism don't emancipate themselves, it's breaking their own roots because the roots are in Haiti. I propose as a central hex of real integration, the integration in energetics in all Latin America and the Caribbean. I proposed this before, but we have moved forward just a little bit. We are advising this in a speech, but let's see what we do here from Saint Vincent. Any common citizen gets 2-3 days to arrive here. So what's the reality of our integration? That's the main subject of the CELAC. The Europeans got together and articulate themselves even through their wars, through the carbon. What with today is producing the climate crisis. That was his main X, the carbon emission. So I'm proposing as a main hex will be the clean energy. The dimensions that could have that possibility. In the Earth, there's only two regions with an enormous generating capacity: South America and Africa. So the South, and in the North, there's the chimneys from gas emissions. And if the humankind wants to live all here in planet Earth, and that's the idea that we need to support, and the climate crisis needs to be solved through humankind from decarbonation. So we have a big power in this path, Africa and South America, in this positive path of building the civilization, the binding path of Latin America and the Caribbean, so needs to be through the clean energy. So that means electrical networks. So that means that Colombia needs to articulate the electrical network that is being articulated with Ecuador and Venezuela, and Ecuador with Brazil until the Patagonia area. So it needs to be articulated. with the Central American network passing through Panama. This needs to bind itself too with Mexico and pointed with to United States. Surrounding that electrical powerful network that could encourage here, the source of energy would be clean, the water from the south, the winds, the sun from our continent. So we could offer to the United States a pact, as the South and Africa could offer the North a pact. We don't need their bombs. We don't need from their prisons and fences from borders stopping from hundreds of people are flowing to that side. Just because we are getting out of water, because we became deserts, because our islands are being filled with water, because all the mechanisms are being broke in our continent because of the chimneys of the north and the wealthy and the conception of wealthy that is being built in those countries from the white people. We don't need that our countries are filled with gunfighting machines defending from the barbarics. What we need is to generate the clean energy potency to handle the north, to replace their chimneys. So that needs another financial architecture. That implies that the external debt needs to be stopped through high rates of interest that includes the risk. When the risk is in the north, not in the south. In the south is the security of life, and the north is the danger. So how can we pay more rates of interest than any north in dollars? So that implies not only financial architecture, but other political architecture of power. If the south has the potential of the clean energy, the life potential, so the power needs to be changed. The power can't be the north upon the south, as the Gaza Strip situation is proven. The power needs to be democratic, plural, diverse. The fact that every nation needs to be a right of vote, it doesn't matter his position or his size, is the possibility of the civilization. The other one is the barbaric, what the science can qualify as the humankind extinction. So the CELAC has a role to fulfill in the world. So it's not only a rhetorical speech, but the real possibility of develop our clean energies, getting articulated between the nations through a physical fact of integration that the wire of clean energy it is, and to offer to the north in conditions of equality to make a possible life. Thank you.